What fictional character do you think was absolutely useless? Most of the humans in any Transformers franchises. In the second Transformers movie, Skids and Mudflap were nothing but annoying racial stereotypes that didn't contribute at all during the film. In the second film they send a cyborg girl to kill Sam and are nearly successful. Why bother transforming into cars and trucks if you can do that? That one kid character from every kids animated series where the main cast are adults and not kids themselves. You know the one. He/she tags along with the main team and only serves to be kidnapped/get into trouble every episode so that the heroes will have someone to save. Oftentimes the main characters won't let them come along with because they know this kid is absolutely useless. But it doesn't matter because they find their way into trouble anyways while shouting sassy one-liners all the way. Edit, holy crap, I forgot how many of these characters there really were XD. The first one to come to my mind was Steven Universe. But he's a cool twist on this trope because the whole gist of the series is that we watch him grow out of it. He's the only character I can think of who went from tag-along kid/load to the strongest character in the cast. You are talking about the load. The load is a liability to the heroes. They are not always the proximate cause of the heroes' failures, but they're weak, they're often too dumb to live, and for some reason they've just got to hang around with the cool heroes and be a part of the action all the time. Harry Strickland, commander of the Golden Company. After hearing about this great army, all he does is sit on a horse and end up getting his army incinerated by a dragon and him dying while running for his life. Literally the entire Golden Company in the show. In the books they are a badass mercenary army famed for never breaking their contracts. They are founded by Westerosi exiles from the losing side of the Blackfire rebellions, but over the years have picked up all sorts of people, like a group of Summer Islands archers and a bunch of war elephants. They hang the gilded skulls of their dead leaders from their banners so that when they can finally return to Westeros their dead will come home with them. Then they cropped up in the show. No skulls. No exile. No fucking elephants. Just stood around to serve as shitty barbecue. They even made a dumb joke about the elephants. It was the only army left that was ever mentioned in the show. They killed off or had already included every other one, except Dorne, which was cited against them and never shown. Of course, then they magically resurrected half the Dothraki and Unsullied, so it's a moot point. They could have just done the same with the Westerlanders. Not only did they mention the Golden Company, but they brought it up in every season. So imagine my hype when Cersei drops the bomb that Euron is ferrying over the Golden Company. And then they sit around in KL for 4 episodes. Then they die. I mean, come on. Unsullied vs the Golden Company. This is like the God Heavyweight Championship. I was more hype for that showdown than Clegane Bowl. No, I'm not still mad about it. Why do you ask? The Knights of Ren literally did nothing but stand around only to get killed off by their leader at the end of the movie. And when I say they did nothing but literally stand around, I mean, there is a helicopter view shot of them in The Rise of Skywalker just standing in the desert planet just posing. My favorite is that Rian Johnson said he made the Praetorian Guard because he felt that the Knights of Ren clearly had a history with Kylo and it would feel wrong to have them unceremoniously killed without even a conversation. Rise of Skywalker brought the Knights of Ren back and had them unceremoniously killed without even a conversation. I maintain that if either of those men had been in charge of the whole trilogy, or someone else was, it would be at least somewhat better by having a unified vision. Instead we got 3 movies that ignored each other. 7 ignored the resolution of the OT just to reset the galaxy, 8 ignored any plot points set up by 7, and 9 retconned 8 to pick up where 7 left off. Such an incredible disappointment. I'm inclined to say Captain Phasma as well, but technically she does do something by shutting off Starkiller Base's shields. But still, she, the Knights of Ren, and the entire sequel trilogy could have been so much more. Yup. They scream we were made to sell toys. They had absolutely no relevance whatsoever. Do they even address them directly as the Corps? Or is it just kind of implied? Also, they were fucking Jedi in training, ain't no fucking reason they don't have lightsabers. Edit, actually went to the scene with subtitles on and everyone who said the second trooper's line was ghouls is right after all. My mistake. Edit 2, while we're on the topic, kinda says something that troopers are brave enough to say that within earshot of the knights. Anyone else think one of them should have turned heel and clapped them both for talkin' smack? In Rise of Skywalker there's that one scene where Kylo and his knights walk past two stormtroopers in a hallway and they remark, "The Knights of Ren." The Magic Treehouse books. She always screwed things up for Jack and made the situations worse. My kid is 8 and we've read probably the first 6 books in the series. He's not really interested in reading more because Annie is such a pain. It got to the point where he was actively rooting for Jack not to save her so she could suffer some consequences for her actions. The Joker in Suicide Squad. Take all scenes with him out and the movie still makes sense, still crap though. I cracked up laughing when Harley leaves with the Joker and everyone is all bummed because it's like this big dramatic breaking up the team scene, and then she just meets them downstairs. The Joker's whole role could have been replaced by an elevator. Considering how unhelpful the Blades in Oblivion were in general, I'm not surprised all she does is sit on her ass and make you do everything. I always try to fuss Rhoda her off the top of the mountain when they have the peace talks at the Greybeard's place, because fuck that asshole. She's essential and can't be killed but it makes me feel better. Fucking poser always talkin' big about slaying dragons but suspiciously never there when I'm doing all the heavy lifting and saving the world. And you want me to kill party snacks or you'll stop talking to me. Fucking good riddance, my BOI party snacks did more to help me take down Alduin than you or that old bag of bones ever did. Bitch. I actually tried having Preston as a companion just to see how it goes, and oh my god he is such a good character. The writers put their heart and soul into writing his plotline, his dialogue, and his backstory. When you have him by your side you almost don't even notice the settlement needs your help tagline because there is so much more besides that. I kept going into places where the other characters don't say anything memorable, but Preston tells a funny joke or makes an insightful comment. I've noticed that with Bethesda games, the devs have a serious tendency to put a ridiculous amount of effort into things players will generally never see. All the Skyrim books, edit, and letters describing deeper lore and connections, Preston Garvey, the little alcoves in the middle of nowhere with bones and blood where someone performed a Daedric ritual. The weird weapons you get in weird places, like a radioactive pond, or the dream of the Mad Daedra. But then they get around to making the main part of the game after the details, I guess. Hey, here's like, a civil war. Pick a side and win and that's the story with thematic adjustments and very little nuance. An idea they considered was recasting Eric and saying he came back from Africa a changed man. Why didn't we get that? It might have been a disaster, but it would have been more interesting. Or better yet just end the show on a high note. I don't know why shows always have to run the show into the ground and ruin it. Just end it where the story should end. My favorite example is Scrubs. They had the perfect ending. Everyone lined up, said goodbye and JD standing in front of the blanket imagine his possible future life. Awesome. But no, they come up with a new season and total horrible characters. My understanding was that the writers originally wanted the show to be treated as a spin-off series but the studio/network forced them to make it a continuation of the original Scrubs. Real-life Topher Grace wanted to do movies, then proceeded to appear as the most miscast actor ever in Spider-Man 3. Eddie Brock and Venom are supposed to be the opposite of Spider-Man, big and strong with no regard for human life. So let's go ahead and cast someone who makes Tobey Maguire look huge in comparison and give him fangs. It'll be great. Quicksilver in Avengers, Age of Ultron. Such a wasted character, he's only there to die. I'm pretty sure they had a sharing arrangement. Fox got Quicksilver for the X-Men movies and Avengers killed him off. And though it's not stated it's her, X-Men killed off a Scarlet Witch character so Avengers could have her. Though Quicksilver did have a little sister so. Mark Brendanowitz, if that's even how you spell his name, from Parks and Rec. It felt like he was supposed to be the token normal guy to contrast from everyone else's craziness, kind of like Jim and Pam from The Office. But while those two actually had their own personalities and character development and often got involved with the surrounding wackiness, Mark was just kind of there and never really seemed to be too involved with the overall plot. He even left the show pretty unceremoniously. Seems like even the writers saw the character as useless, given he only lasted 2 seasons. It's even played for laughs later on when Anne is carrying boxes with each of her ex-boyfriends' names and Mark isn't even mentioned. You mean Mark Brendan quits? Yet I feel bad for the actor who played him. Clearly he was meant to be the Jim of Parks and Rec, the guy who is there to be like, can you believe my crazy boss? The only issue is that his boss wasn't an idiot like Michael Scott. Her negative characteristic was that she was just too optimistic and hard-working. How could you be the foil for that other than being negative and lazy? The stories will just naturally lead to him being more and more of a drag. I think that's because Leslie was set out to be that person, but her character, like Michael, was adjusted so we took them seriously. Her character originally wasn't backed by any character and came off as useless. She was rewritten to be competent and the town adjusted to be the crazy factor that disrupts each episode, leaving Mark with nothing to bounce off of. With the town becoming the crazy factor instead of Leslie, that then opened up the path for Ben and, to a lesser degree, Chris, coming from out of town, to be much more effective craziness foils than Mark ever was. Yeah, a lot of people forget that season 1 Leslie was kind of a useless moron and season 1 Michael was a bit of an asshole, as opposed to just clueless. Both changes in direction for the characters were for the better, especially Michael's. PNR could have worked fine with Leslie being incompetent, but The Office would have flopped if they kept Michael Scott the same way he was in season 1. Season 1 of PNR is incredibly boring for exactly that reason. Seeing Leslie as sort of useless isn't that funny because we need to relate to her. She's the protagonist. The town being crazy works so much better. Took on a Looney Tunes feel to it but more wholesome, with the protagonist being constantly frustrated while trying to be a force for good in the crazy world. Go on the Parks and Rec subs. There's a ton of info in the backstory of the writers, the actor, and the plan for the Brendanowitz character. In short, the writers either didn't describe the character well enough when hiring the actor, or changed their minds about the character's personality and role while writing, and the actor felt like he got misled/screwed so he left the show. Well, he went on to give the best damn performance of William Henry Harrison in a brilliant. The tie-in novel for Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover does this confrontation much better. Rather than just standing there and getting cut down, it plays out like this. A fountain of amethyst energy burst from Mace Windu's fist. Don't try to resist. The song of his blade was echoed by green fire from the hands of Kit Fisto, Aegon Kolar, and CZ Tyon. Kolar and Tyon closed on Palpatine, blocking the path to the door. Shadows dripped and oozed color, weaving and coiling up office walls, slipping over chairs, spreading along the floor. Resist? How could I possibly resist? Still seated at the desk, Palpatine shook an empty fist helplessly, the perfect image of a tired, frightened old man. This is murder, you Jedi traitors. How can I be any threat to you? He turned desperately to CZ Tyon. Master Tyon, you're the telepath. What am I thinking right now? Tyon frowned and cocked his head. His blade dipped. A smear of red flashing darkness hurtled from behind the desk. CZ Tyon's head bounced when it hit the floor. Smoke curled from the neck, and from the twin stumps of the horns, severed just below the chin. Kit Fisto gasped, CZ. The headless corpse, still standing, twisted as its knees buckled, and a thin sigh escaped from its trachea as it folded to the floor. It doesn't. Aegon Kolar swayed. His emerald blade shrank away, and the hand grip tumbled from his opening fingers. A small, neat hole in the middle of his forehead leaked smoke, showing light from the back of his head. Hurt. He pitched forward onto his face, and lay still. Pal Patton stood at the doorway, but the door stayed shut. From his right hand extended a blade the color of fire. The door locked itself at his back. Help! Help! Pal Patton cried like a man in desperate fear for his life. Security, someone! Help me! Murder! Treason! Then he smiled. He held one finger to his lips, and, astonishingly, he winked in the blank second that followed, while Mace Windu and Kit Fisto could do no more than angle their lightsabers to guard. Pal Patton swiftly stepped over the body's back toward his desk, reversed his blade, and drove it in a swift, surgically precise stab down through his desktop. That's enough of that. He let it burn its way free through the front, then he turned, lifting his weapon, appearing to study it as one might study the face of a beloved friend one has long thought dead. Power gathered around him until the force shimmered with darkness. If you only knew, he said softly, perhaps speaking to the Jedi Masters, or perhaps to himself, or perhaps even to the scarlet blade lifted now as though in mocking salute, how long I have been waiting for this. Obviously it'd be harder to adapt this to the screen, but rather than emphasizing how unskilled the Jedi Masters were, this does better to show how Pal Patton was just in a whole different league of power compared to them. Oh hey, you know how you're supposed to be saving the world right now? Nah, be my bitch for a little bit. Oh wait, there's a benevolent dragon on the throat of the world. Kill him. Why are you drawing your sword? I'm one of the last blades, I'm too important to die. I always refuse to kill him. He deserves better. There's a mod that lets you join the Blades and spare Parthi, since canonically the Blades don't have the authority to refuse the Dragonborn. I always try to fuss Rhoda her off the top of the mountain when they have the peace talks at the Greybeard's place, because fuck that asshole. She's essential and can't be killed, but it makes me feel better. Fucking poser, always talkin' big about slaying dragons but suspiciously never there when I'm doing all the heavy lifting and saving the world. And you want me to kill party snacks or you'll stop talking to me. Fucking good riddance, my boy party snacks did more to help me take down Alduin than you or that old bag of bones ever did. Bitch. Why on earth did they make Dilhapine such an unlikable ass but who tells you to kill one of your greatest allies and then not let you kill her and give you no quest alternative besides killing Parthenax? I've never actually killed him in all of my million playthroughs. Rose Granger Weasley from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Like, don't get me wrong, there was a lot wrong with that book, but Rose is up on the list. Her character is basically just there to serve as Scorpius's love interest, so it's clear to everyone he's not actually gay for Albus even though they act super gay. And people who are like, no, that's just friendship, go read the actual books. Harry and Ron are a great example of super platonic friendship. Scorpius and Albus just scream gay. And Rose was there because they wanted to pull a no homo, I guess. Absolutely useless. I wish they actually made her a real character. Also, why did that book have the quality of badly written fanfiction? I swear. Umbridge be like, boys and girls may not be 6 feet close. Scorpius and Albus be like, ladies and gentlemen, we got M. Finn from the new Star Wars trilogy. The writers wasted his character because the directing torch got passed like 1,000 times. He went from someone who could have shared valuable information with the Resistance and a pretty decent fighter to a whiny baby who needed Rey all the time. Sharing valuable information isn't even the start of it. Finn could have easily been the most interesting Star Wars character. He is an ex-stormtrooper that quit because he recognized the evil of the Empire, even after being brainwashed. Imagine one of the good guys trying not to kill STS because he recognizes that they are people. They came so close in ROS and then took a big steaming dump on any semblance of a deeper thematic idea. Hey, you're an ex-stormtrooper too. Can you believe how bad they treated us and that we are just victims of an evil system? Yeah. Let's go indiscriminately murder people that are exactly like us except wearing helmets, and scream with glee while we do it. Finn sparking up a rebellion among First Order troopers would have been so cool. But not, comic relief token black guy was better somehow. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment Reddit Story Time for more Reddit stories.